Once upon a time, in a small village at the foot of a mountain, lived a poor man with his son. They were so poor that they had to wear patches made out of old sacks for shoes. The boy was 12 years old. He was a very obedient and intelligent boy. His father loved him very much and was very proud of him. One day, the boy said to his father, "Dad, I'm going to the mountains to see if I can find some medicinal herbs. I heard there are many different kinds of herbs up there, and I want to learn about them." The father agreed and told him to be careful and come back soon, because he needed help with something. The boy said, "Okay, Dad, I will be right back." Then he took a basket and went up the mountain. As he walked, he began to collect all kinds of herbs and flowers. He picked more than 30 different kinds and put them in his basket. After collecting the herbs, he wanted to go home. But then he saw a little hut made out of straw. The boy approached the hut and knocked on the door. Suddenly, an old woman opened the door and asked him, "What do you want?" The boy answered politely, "Excuse me, ma'am. I'm looking for medicinal herbs, but I can't find the ones I need. Do you know where I could find them?" The woman smiled and replied, "You already have them in your basket. Come inside. I'll show you." She invited the boy into the house. Then she pointed to the herbs in his basket and said, "All these herbs are useless. You need only one herb called wishing herb to cure any disease. But this herb doesn't grow here. It grows on the other side of the mountain. If you find it, you will become rich and famous. Many people search for it, but no one ever finds it because it is hidden well." The boy was very sad to hear that, but he decided to keep trying because he really wanted to help his father. So he thanked the old woman for her help and went back down the mountain. He went back home and gave all the collected herbs to his father. The father was very happy and said, "My son, you did great. I'm proud of you. Now let's make medicine from these herbs so I can feel better." The boy helped his father make the medicine and give it to the villagers in exchange for food. They didn't have money, so that's how they survived. The next day, the boy went back up the mountain to look for the wishing herb. This time, before going up the mountain, he asked his father for an old coat to cover his body because it was cold outside. The father gave him his own coat, which was patched up in several places. The boy was very grateful and went up the mountain wearing his father's coat. While walking, he met a young man who asked him, "Hey, why are you wearing my coat?" The boy answered, "I borrowed it from my dad because it's cold outside." "Where did you get this coat? Did you steal it?" the young man asked. "No, I found it under a stone. There was a magic spell cast on it, so it was stuck there. But now the spell is gone and it's mine, and I won't give it back unless you tell me where you found it." The boy refused and they started arguing. Then the young man took the coat away and threw it into a nearby river. The boy was very upset, but he couldn't do anything. He continued his journey up the mountain without a coat. When he got to the top, he sat on a nearby stone to rest. Then he noticed that the coat was on the other side of the river. A little girl was taking it out of the water. The boy ran to the river and asked her, "Hey, please give me that coat. It belongs to my father, and we're very poor and need it." The girl replied, "I found this coat on the other side of the river. I don't know whose it is. If you want it, you can take it." The boy was very grateful and took the coat and went back home. When his father saw the coat, he was very happy and hugged his son. "Thank you, my son. You made me the happiest father in the world. Now we won't freeze this winter." The boy told his father about everything he'd been through that day, including what the old woman had said. His father listened patiently and then said, "You did your best, my son. Be proud of yourself. We have each other, and we are strong and smart. That's all that matters." The boy hugged his father and went to bed. From that day on, the boy kept thinking about what the old woman had said. He wanted to find the wishing herb so badly that he decided to go back up the mountain again. The father warned him, "Be careful, son. Don't talk to strangers. Some people want to take advantage of you. The boy promised to be careful and set off up the mountain. After a while, he met a young woman in front of a cave. She was crying. The boy asked her, "Are you all right? Why are you crying?" The woman raised her head and replied, "I lost my ring in the cave. It's very dark inside and I can't find it. Can you help me find it?" The boy thought for a moment. "Well, I'm on my way to find something very important. But if you want, we can go together. Maybe we can both find what we're looking for." The woman agreed, and they went into the cave. The boy held a stone in his hand so he could see better in the dark. After walking a bit, they found a beautiful white ring on the ground. The woman was very happy and said, "Oh, thank you. Here, take this ring. You found it. You can have it." The boy refused and said, "No, I don't want your ring. Please give me the wishing herb instead." The woman understood that he wasn't like the others and said, "Okay, I have a wishing herb here. Take it." Then she handed over a small green branch with some leaves to the boy. He was so happy that he thanked her and hurried down the mountain to give the herb to his father. The father was very happy and proud of his son when he heard that. He said, "You are the best son in the world. I love you very much." The father used the herb to make medicine and helped many people in the village. Everyone in the village was cured, and they brought food to the poor family. The boy and his father didn't have to worry about food anymore. Many years passed, and the boy grew up to be a fine young man. One day he met a beautiful girl and fell in love. They got married and had 2 children. They lived happily ever after. Once upon a time in a faraway land, there lived a king and queen who ruled over their people with kindness and fairness. They were deeply loved by their subjects who often praised the king and queen for their wisdom and compassion. However, despite their seemingly perfect life, the king and queen yearned for a child to carry on their bloodline and rule after them. They prayed every night for a son who would make them proud. One day, their wish was granted, and the queen gave birth to a baby boy. Overjoyed, the king and queen named their son Ari and showered him with love and care. As Ari grew older, he proved to be a bright and inquisitive child, always asking questions about the world around him. The king and queen cherished these moments, watching their son learn and develop into a fine young man. However, they knew that it was also important to prepare him for the responsibilities that lay ahead. When Ari turned 16, the king decided it was time to teach his son about their kingdom and the challenges they faced. He explained to Ari that their kingdom was surrounded by enemies who were constantly plotting to take their land and power. To protect their kingdom, the king had built a tall and sturdy wall around the city. But recently, a neighboring king had challenged them to a contest. Whoever could bring the king the most precious gem would own the entire kingdom. The king and queen were worried. They had searched everywhere for a valuable gem, but couldn't find one. They were afraid that their kingdom would fall to their enemies. Ari listened intently to his parents, knowing that he had to do something to save his kingdom. Though he was just a teenager, he was determined to prove himself worthy of his father's training and his people's trust. With a determined nod, he announced that he would go out into the world and find the most precious gem to save their kingdom. The king and queen were initially against the idea, but they knew they couldn't stop their son. So they gave him some gold, some food, a sword, and most importantly, their blessing. Before leaving, Ari promised to return with the most precious gem or die trying. And with that, he set off into the unknown, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. His journey took him through dense forests, across vast deserts, and over towering mountains. Along the way, he met all kinds of people, some friendly and some not so friendly. But Ari faced each challenge with courage and determination, never forgetting his mission. As days turned into weeks, Ari's hope began to fade. He had traveled far and wide, but had yet to find a gem that was rare or valuable. Just when he was about to give up, he stumbled upon a hidden cave. According to local legend, the cave was home to mythical creatures and untold treasures. As he ventured deeper into the cave, Ari saw the most beautiful crystal he had ever seen. It shimmered with all the colors of the rainbow and seemed to glow from within. As he reached out to touch it, the crystal began to levitate above the ground, floating towards Ari. He watched in amazement as the crystal hovered in front of him, pulsing with energy. Suddenly, a booming voice echoed through the cave. "Who dares disturb my slumber?" Ari jumped in surprise and drew his sword. From the shadows emerged a fearsome dragon, its eyes blazing with fury. "Who are you?" Ari demanded, his voice shaking slightly. "I am the guardian of this cave," the dragon roared, "and you have trespassed on my domain." Ari knew that if he wanted to save his kingdom, he had to defeat the dragon. With a deep breath, he charged forward, his sword raised high. The battle was fierce and dangerous. The dragon breathed fire and lightning, while Ari dodged and parried with his sword. But Ari was determined to win. He fought with all his strength and skill, refusing to give up. Finally, Ari landed a decisive blow, striking the dragon's heart with his sword. As the dragon collapsed, the cave began to shake and the crystal floated back to Ari. He knew that this was the gem he had been searching for, the most precious gem in the world. With the dragon defeated and the cave collapsing behind him, Ari emerged from the wreckage, carrying the crystal in his hands. He had done it. He had saved his kingdom. As he returned home, the king and queen were overjoyed to see their son. They embraced him tightly and thanked him for saving their kingdom. The people of the kingdom cheered and celebrated, hailing Ari as their hero. From that day forward, Ari became known throughout the land as a brave and noble prince. He had proven himself to be a true leader, worthy of his parents' love and his people's respect. Together, they ruled over the kingdom with wisdom and fairness, ensuring that it would remain strong and prosperous for generations to come.